30,000 years ago, a creature walked across a frozen wasteland. No fur coat, no claws, no venom. Honestly, kind of pathetic. Meanwhile, it shared the planet with cave lions, woolly mammoths, giant hyenas, and at least 2 other species of human. All of them bigger, stronger, and frankly better equipped to survive. And yet, every single one of those species is gone. And you, sitting there, are descended from that scrawny, underdressed, slightly ridiculous creature. So what did it have? What was the one thing that made ancient humans utterly, terrifyingly unstoppable? Let's be honest about ancient humans for a second. They were not impressive. Compared to Neanderthals, they had thinner bones, smaller muscles, and less brain power for sheer survival. A Neanderthal could probably snap one of our ancestors in half before breakfast, and then have a nutritious mammoth stew for the actual breakfast. So how did early Homo sapiens survive the Ice Age, cross oceans, climb mountains, and spread to every corner of the planet? The answer isn't a weapon. It isn't fire. It isn't language. Well, it sort of is language, but not in the way you'd think. Here's the crazy part. It's something so obvious, so human, that most of us forget it's even remarkable. It's the ability to believe in things that don't exist. Yeah, stick with me. Around 70,000 years ago, something strange happened inside the human brain. Scientists call it the cognitive revolution. Others call it the Great Leap Forward. I call it the moment humans went absolutely unhinged in the best possible way. Before this, humans were smart, sure. They used tools, they communicated, but their social groups were tiny. Maybe 30, 40 people max. Why? Because you can only really trust people you know. And you can only know so many people. But then, almost overnight in evolutionary terms, humans started doing something no other animal had ever done. They started telling stories. Not just mammoth over there. Real stories. Stories about gods, spirits, tribes, laws, nations. Things that existed nowhere in the physical world, but completely controlled human behavior. And that changed everything. Here's what makes this wild. A chimpanzee is incredibly smart. It can communicate danger, it can remember faces, it can even use basic tools. But you cannot convince a chimpanzee to farm a field for a reward it won't receive until next harvest season. You cannot convince a chimp to die for a flag. You cannot get a chimp to hand over a banana today in exchange for a promise written on a piece of bark. Humans? We do this constantly. Every single day. Money is a story we all agreed to believe. Nations are stories. Laws are stories. Human rights are a story. A beautiful, important one. But still just an idea that exists in our heads and nowhere else in nature. And because we could share these stories, we could cooperate in groups of thousands. Then millions. Then billions. No other animal on Earth can do that. 1,000 chimpanzees cannot invade a neighboring territory as a coordinated army. 1,000 humans? Built the Roman Empire. But here's where it gets complicated, and a little uncomfortable. Because the same ability that allowed humans to build cities, write poetry, and develop medicine, also allowed them to march into a village and slaughter everyone inside because those people believed in a different story. History is basically a series of stories colliding. The Roman story said, "We are civilization, everyone else is a barbarian." The Mongol story said, "Submit or burn." The colonial story said, "We own this land now." And the most horrifying part? The people inside each story genuinely believed they were the good guys. Because that's what stories do. They make the world legible. They give your side a heroic narrative. And the other side? Well, they're just the enemy. The superpower that made humans unstoppable was also, let's be honest, incredibly dangerous. So, did it work out? Kind of? Here's the proof that this all really happened. Go to the Chauvet Cave in France. Step inside, carefully please, it's a UNESCO site, and look at the walls. 36,000 years ago, someone stood exactly where you're standing. And they painted. Lions mid-hunt, rhinos charging, horses flowing across the stone like they're actually moving. This wasn't survival. This wasn't food or shelter or fighting off predators. This was a story being told, a dream being recorded, an imagination at work. And 50 meters away in that same cave, a skull of a cave bear placed deliberately on a rock, almost like an altar, ritual, ceremony. The idea that death means something. No other species on Earth has ever done that. That's the moment you know. This isn't just an animal anymore, this is us. And across the planet, from Indonesia to South Africa to Argentina, ancient humans were doing the same thing, all independently, all around the same time. The stories had begun. So here's what actually made ancient humans unstoppable. Not their muscles, not their teeth, not even their tools. It was the ability to look at a stranger, someone they'd never met from a different place, a different family, and say, "We believe in the same thing. Let's build something together." That's it. That's the whole secret. And yeah, it went wrong a lot. It still does. But it also built the pyramids. It put humans on the moon. It created music, mathematics, medicine, and this video that somehow traveled through fiber optic cables and satellites to reach you. A stranger I'll never meet right now. Every nation, every religion, every company, every friendship built on a shared promise. It all traces back to that first moment some ancient human looked at the stars, had a feeling, and decided to tell someone else about it. We are, at our core, storytelling animals. And maybe that's worth thinking about the next time you hear a story, or decide to tell one. Because somewhere in a cave, someone did the same thing, and it changed everything.